like 2 years ago, I was taking on 11 to 1,300 incidents in a year.
Oh my gosh.
And this year I've only taken 300.
Hello and welcome to Behind the Screens, IT at ND, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the IT solutions consultants at the University of Notre Dame.
Here we explore the challenges they face, the innovative solutions they provide, and the tips and tricks that can help you manage the most out of your technology. I'm Krista Moats, Manager of IT Marketing and Communications over in the OIT.
And I'm Scooter, Director of Information Technology for the College of Arts and Letters. We're thrilled to have you with us today. Our guest today is Hank Gettinger, Support Supervisor and IT Consultant for the Mendoza College of Business. Welcome, Hank.
Welcome, Hank.
Thank you. Thank you both. Yeah, excited to be here.
So, Hank, we know that MCOB IT has been around for about 43 years and that you started out by doing technical assistance for research faculty. Could you tell us a little bit more about the MCOB IT? How big are you? How many of you? What are you doing?
Yeah, happy to. Yeah, it's changed a lot over the years. We have 14 people now in 3 different teams. We have the enterprise team where I am. That's mostly a lot of our consultant. That's where a lot of our consultant work happens. We say if it's not in a closet and not in a classroom, it's probably us that takes care of it. Then we have our data engineering and web team. They take care of our data and our web team, that stuff. So our intranet, our website, and all the data that goes into that. And then we have our ed tech team that takes care of our classrooms, the podiums, the computer labs. They do a lot of work right now with the new construction that we have happening, with the upgrades to our auditorium, the new spaces that are being constructed. Lots of really exciting things going on.
That's awesome. So before we get into team breakdown and things of that nature, tell us a little bit about how you came to work at the university. What was your journey like to get here?
Well, I got started in my undergrad career working as a computer technician, and I was supporting our computer labs at the time and setting up in the classrooms. Back then, it was literally carrying a projector to the classroom as faculty requested it and pulling down the roll-down slide projection screen. It's changed a lot since then. Then I went into K-12 education as a computer technician there. And then 6 years ago, almost, I ended up here at Notre Dame and at Mendoza. I was very nervous to even apply in the first place, but it's been a fantastic experience. I get the small community feel at Mendoza College of Business and the immense resources that the university provides at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So how among your team of, you said 14, right?
Yeah.
How among your team of 14 do you share responsibilities and divide up the work? I mean, we understand the division of the 3 big groups, but there are several of you in each group. So how do you figure out who does what?
Yeah. Sometimes it's just somebody jumps up and says, that's really interesting to me, and they take the reins and they become the expert in that. Other times it's, well, I drew the short straw and happened to take this request the first as the first responder, and now I'm stuck with it. But we do a lot of cross-training, right? We try and make sure there's nothing that only one person knows and can do. So we have weekly team meetings where we're bringing all the things that we're working on that week, and just sharing them with each other, sharing the new discoveries that we find in all sorts of different tech. But we have typically 1 or 2 people that are the subject matter experts in certain areas, and then everybody has at least some knowledge of what they do and how to do it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome. So talking about how duties and support are kind of divided up amongst faculty and staff and students, does your team support all of them? And then follow-up question for when you get done talking about that. I would love to know, Scooter and Arts and Letters, how similar is that to Mendoza, because they're both colleges, and it'd be really interesting to know for you guys to kind of talk about some of the similarities and differences there.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm suddenly a guest now on my own show.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Well, hey, you got to start pulling your weight at some point.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we support all of our faculty and staff over in Mendoza, and we support our graduate students. Now, anybody that comes through our door, we're not going to say, oh, you're not a graduate student, you're an undergrad student, you got to go over to the service desk. We'll at least give them the general diagnostics, like give them an idea of what's going on. And if it's something that we really can't handle, we'll send them off to the right people. We really divvy the responsibilities along those lines of like, is it in a classroom? Is it on the website? Or is it something else, right? And so that's where the enterprise team comes in. It doesn't matter what division or program they're in. It's who's available now that knows what to do.
Yeah, awesome.
Excellent. And for us over in Alco, we fully support all of our faculty and staff. And it wouldn't be right to say we don't support the students, but we don't provide the same level of support to the students. Most specifically, we support the graduate students who are perhaps working in one of our psychology faculty's labs. So when they're acting like a staff person, that's when we're providing support to them. And of course, when they're in, we have a handful of labs that we help manage. And so if they're having trouble in the lab, we're supporting the lab. It's not, is it a student or a faculty member? Specifically, we're supporting the machine. So, but we're not doing day-to-day break fix for the students of our college. We have, I don't know if that's just because of our sheer numbers, because we've got 550 faculty and 250 staff. So we kind of figure that's enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Have to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah. So let me dive into a little bit more about how we support our graduate students, because that seems to be something that we do a little bit uniquely. A lot of our graduate students are business executives. So they typically have an IT team supporting them in their work, in their day-to-day lives. So when they come here, a lot of them expect that same kind of service. So in advance of them starting their career here, we'll send out email campaigns telling them, here's how you get hooked up with printing. Here's how you connect to Eduroam. We'll do an orientation with them to go over everything. A lot of times they're bringing corporate laptops with built-in corporate VPNs and all that.
Okay.
So we've got some unique issues there that we typically have to work through. Fortunately, once we get through that orientation, most of their problems are gone and they get through their 2 years with us just fine. But it's not like it's not like we're providing laptops and they're bringing them to us to repair or anything.
Right.
We typically will do the basic diagnostics and say, do you have a warranty? Leverage that. Do you not have a warranty? Bookstore.
Yeah.
Go over there, they can help you out.
So
with
giving
that.
a lot of advice, like how to navigate that stuff, as opposed to like offering like the full support.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. What is the day-to-day like typically?
Yeah, there's a lot. Every day is really different. It just depends on what's going on at the time, what projects we have going on. We have a lot of regular projects that kind of get scheduled throughout the calendar year, right? So prior to each semester beginning, we're sending out surveys, making sure that our faculty are all ready to teach. They don't have anything new in the classrooms they're looking for or anything like that. We're looking at CWP refreshes, what laptops, what desktops are approaching the end of their warranties and need to be replaced. We're sending out those ongoing student onboarding campaigns. We have like a rolling admission schedule. We've got a cohort starting pretty much any time of the year, so we're always sending those out. We're taking escalations from our first level support team, and we are, meeting with a lot of different people, whether it's doing a little bit of project planning with them, gathering their requirements, or going out into the greater university to participate in communities of practice and learn a little bit more about how everybody else is approaching these same issues. And doing research and development is a large part of it too, just testing these things out and making sure that we know how these tools work so we can share them with everybody else.
I bet. So working with like a lot of grad students, do you find that there's a lot of new platforms that come in that you haven't heard of that they're kind of bringing in from their corporate work, or it's like, what's that dynamic like?
Yeah. Honestly, not so much. A lot of them are just, the biggest thing is some of them come from a Microsoft company. And so we're teaching them a little bit about how to use Google, right? And how to use Gmail and navigate all that. And it's the simple things like getting their calendar in their phone and things like that.
Yeah, gotcha.
Excellent. So you just mentioned just a moment ago your internal first level support. So how much are you leveraging the service desk? How does that play into helping your faculty and staff?
Yeah, so we have our own service desk in Mendoza, particularly for our faculty and staff, that has 10 student workers and 3 part-time workers. And we tell our faculty and staff, email Mendoza IT. We've got a separate phone number. Come talk to us. And we take all of those cases and requests first. And then if it's something that we really need to leverage the service desk, mostly it's password refreshes and things like that. Really digging into the account and doing things on the back end. We'll send them over, but we try and do as much as we can in-house. We did a lot of work to get our first level support team up and running over the past 4 years. We spent a lot of time working out different processes and the basics of what questions can you expect to see and how to answer 150 different ones. So we really documented out those processes to make sure our students, aren't making up answers on the spot. They've got exactly what they need.
Yeah, for sure. So are there any recent challenges or opportunities that come to mind today? Anything you guys have been seeing a lot of?
People have been collecting data for years, and now we're finally seeing, how do we really leverage this data, right? How do we really dig into it and make good business decisions with it? So sometimes that's figuring out a way to make that data flow into different places, right? Like, so taking Qualtrics, getting it into a Google Sheet, and then using that Google Sheet to do different things with that data. Sometimes it's, there was a really exciting one a couple months ago with our business honors program. They had a lot of students that sign up for tutoring opportunities, the ability to tutor other people, right? So those honors students, they get a little bit of service hours and help other people out. But our business honors program was looking for a way that they could track, okay, how many students do we have offering tutoring opportunities? How many students are taking those opportunities? What courses are they for? Are they having good experiences with those tutors, et cetera? So we used the Google Calendar appointment slot features, and each student set up appointment slots for themselves. And then we used a Google Sheet to then use Google Apps script to pull all that calendar information in, and then automatically send out an email with Qualtrics after their appointment to say, hey, how was your session?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. That really got me excited to see all that come together.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and then I bet you get like some better feedback that way too.
Yeah.
That's great. So you were talking about the data and different ways to incorporate it, and so talking about like building dashboards and stuff. Have you guys used Google Data Studio at all?
We have a few people that have started looking at Google Data Studio, but mostly we use Tableau.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think this example you just gave is for me sort of the bread and butter of what IT consulting is on this campus.
Yeah.
And it's stitching together, this product and that product, and this one kind of does it, and this sort of does it, but really, sewing those different products together into a workflow that makes some sense.
Absolutely.
But also provides the answers that they're looking for, in a simple way. Because as we all know, when somebody says, is it possible to, the answer is always, well, yes. How much do you want to spend, or how much time do you want to invest, and things like this? It's always possible.
Yep.
The question is it feasible? Is it, is it important enough for us to dedicate time? But it's really these, some would say MacGyvered solutions or whatever, but it's really understanding our environment and what tools are available in our environment, and being able to craft them together. I think that's really cool.
What's available to us now?
Right.
What do we
do
have?
now?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So what would your elevator pitch be for IT consultancy work at MCOB?
Yeah, I would say consultancy is just such a rewarding experience for us here at MCOB, right? It is getting to walk with the people through their initial request or their problem. And a lot of times that takes the form of, I need this software, right? And so digging into what that really means, what's the root cause, getting into their intricacies and requirements, and then matching them up with that solution that really meets their needs, and just fits so perfectly. That is just so fulfilling. And that work just feels like it really matters, to that person and or to that group of people.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'd imagine that there's probably plenty of times where someone thinks that they have an impossible issue, and then they come to you and they're just saying these things that you've solved a million times.
Right?
So many of our consultancy starts not with hey, I need help. It's we happen to get coffee at the same time, and they say, "I've been thinking about this, but I don't know that you can help me." And then
It's very serendipitous.
yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, and I also love the fact that you get those kinds of requests and they're really timid because they think, oh, I've got this super complicated thing. And you're like, no, here's your answer. Go,
Yeah.
you know, go.
Uh-huh.
And on the other hand, you get the people who are really bold. Oh, I'm sure this is a simple thing that you've done 1,000 times. You know,
Right.
no, oh my God, I've never seen this. I have no idea how we're
Uh-huh.
ever going to do this. You know, the disorientate or the disconnection between their expectations of ease or difficulty and our expectation is always fun to navigate.
Mm-hmm.
So, Hank, all of this that you're describing for us really highlights the sort of white glove service that MCOB IT provides. You've painted a picture of you know your own internal service desk. We imagine your turnaround times are very quick, and all the other professional services that you offer. How does that translate to how your faculty and staff feel about the service you provide? What's that customer experience really feel like?
Yeah, they definitely do expect a lot from us, and they should, right? Like 14 people in an IT department we've got 350 faculty and staff.
Yeah.
We've got to justify that, you know? So yeah, we do work really hard to make sure that every request is responded to with the right answer right away. We use our first level support team for that a lot, like I mentioned before. They have been fantastic. Like 2 years ago, I was taking on 11 to 1,300 incidents in a year.
Oh my gosh.
And this year I've only taken 300.
Wow.
That's a big
difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So really they've been fantastic in making sure that a lot of the day-to-day is taken care of really quickly, right? And I can really focus in on the bigger projects, the times that it gets escalated and it's just not quite working right. So that's a big part of it. And a lot of that is, instead of answering people's questions with, yeah, we can just do that, it's let's really dig into that and make sure we're doing it right. You know, Jack O'Brien on the ServiceNow team, when we were really getting started and figuring out different ways we could use it, said the right tool will take the wrong process and make it so much worse, right? And that
absolutely,
that really stuck with me. So a lot of what we do is really digging into that that process management and mapping that out, and making sure that we're doing things the right way, no matter what tool we're using.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you mentioned ServiceNow. Yeah. So you guys use ServiceNow for your ticketing?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then do you guys have like a project management tool you work with too?
So at Mendoza, we've rolled out Monday.com for all of our staff. So we have about 150 people in there using Monday.com. And that's more of a work management platform. So it's not just the tasks, not just the projects. It's a little bit of all of it together.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing that?
Almost 2 years now, I think.
How's that feel? I mean, there's so many good tools out there. I know Monday's near the top of the list.
Pretty collaborative.
Yes.
Maybe?
Yeah. We've specifically kept a lot of our workspaces in Monday very open, so anybody can see any department's workspace. Now, obviously, like the people management workspace is a little bit locked down, right?
Yeah,
but
of course.
Anybody can come into the Mendoza IT space and see all the projects that we're working on and see exactly what the status is of each task that's in there. Yeah.
Does it like interface with ServiceNow?
It might, but that's probably something you have to pay for.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, just curious. But I know you guys use Slack too, and I know that those two things kind of work together. You can get your like Monday notifications through Slack.
Exactly.
All that.
And vice versa. We can send things in Slack over to Monday. Yeah.
What about with Google? Same way? Same kind of thing?
Yep. They all can integrate together.
Cool.
We don't like keep track of what everybody's doing all the time, but we do have notifications to all of our devices when there's free food.
That's a good plan. Yeah.
Got to get those important things.
So we like track our email when we get those things, and then it goes to Slack. And
yes, highly important. Must open immediately. Yeah. So what is the in-office structure like for you guys? You guys all in office every day?
Oh yeah, I'm so excited that you asked about that. Yeah, we are pretty much in the office every day.
Speaking of food, right?
We do have the opportunity to work from home, but we just like being connected with our customers in that way. We are all in the same office space together, or at least very close to it. So it's fantastic. I can just turn around in my chair and I've got my 3 teammates right there.
Everybody's
And we
there.
all
Yeah.
like can have a little get together and say, I've got this issue. How do we work this through?
Yeah, that is really helpful.
Yeah.
Like having everybody there, and just being able to kind of talk through it. Scooter, you guys are in. What's it like with you guys at Alco?
Well, so it's a mix because we've been given permission to work from home 2 days a week, and most of my guys take us up on that. But we did have a recent renovation to our space. If anybody's been over to our place in 250 O'Shaughnessy, everybody used to be kind of crowded in the same space. But last summer, we not only renovated that space, but took over a smaller space down the hall, and we moved all 4 of our consultants down to that new space.
Oh.
So they are like Hank, like you're describing, they can just turn to each other, and they're all within sight of each other, and it's kind of an open office concept down there.
Mm-hmm.
So they're close, but they're isolated from the walk-in traffic.
Right.
So they're isolated from the noise. So any noise that's happening is their own fault. You know, it's not
Right.
it's not the customer
Self-generated.
interactions and whatever else.
Yeah.
So they can make it very quiet, or they can make it very active at their choice.
That's great.
But yeah, back in the rest of the suite, then we're all in and out different days, but we find it very easy to, we keep up in Google Chat with each other,
Mhm.
whether we're in the office or not. Instead of walking down and knocking on a door or something, I'm just as quick to chat somebody.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter that we're physically there or not.
Mhm.
Except for food.
Except for food.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So I want to sign up for your food notifications.
Right.
It's awesome. Yeah.
We
If
get
you-
some
yeah,
pretty good food in Mendoza.
Yeah, that sounds
Nice.
great.
I was gonna say, if you ever see anything about food over in the ITC, feel free to jaunt on over. You guys are always welcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Those communication tools have been really fantastic for us, especially with our campus partners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just reaching out, being able to reach out to like product management or teaching and learning technologies or identity access management, right? And really leveraging a lot of our campus partners has been fantastic.
That's awesome.
Terrific.
About a year and a half ago, maybe it's closer to 2 years ago now, we started kind of bringing everybody under this umbrella generated from the OIT and from Jane Livingston's office, which is IT at ND. So so the big plan is that we're all, connecting and collaborating stronger.
Mhm.
So what has the perspective been on IT at ND over in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, it's definitely changed a lot over the last 5 years. And I would say the big thing for us is the communities of practices that have started, right? And so getting the opportunity to really meet in with a lot of different IT people in a lot of different roles and in a lot of different perspectives across the university, right, has been fantastic.
So now it's time for Consultant Quirks, where we ask our guests a few fun rapid fire questions. So, Hank, which fictional character do you identify most with?
Okay. I really love the movie Toy Story. I'm not going to date myself and say when I saw it or what that memory was like, but it was very formative for me. And I would love to say that I'm a Buzz Lightyear, right? Like infinity and beyond, like taking a consultancy to new heights, blah, blah, blah. I'm a Woody. Like, just like I like to stay at home. I like to make sure that my people are taken care of. I imagine that scene, where he's making sure that everybody's got their moving buddy, and he's a little nervous up there on this podium with his notes, but really just making sure that everybody is taken care of.
Yeah.
So, Hank, do you know John Boozy?
Yeah. Same answer.
We got the same answer
Same
from
choice,
John when
yeah.
he was in here.
Oh,
Yeah, so John is also Woody is his
Oh.
character. So
Yep.
we'll have to start a community practice around Toy Story familiars or something.
Which is awesome that you guys both said that, because that
We'll
what
have to
you
reach
said
out and
definitely,
connect.
yeah,
Yeah.
right, it's true. Just like Woody is looking after people.
Yeah.
He's
That's
looking out for them,
Uh-huh.
right? He's making sure that everybody is safe and
Yeah.
knows where to go and what to
That's
do
funny.
and
That's
has what they
awesome.
need.
Yeah. I
Yep.
started writing out my answer as Buzz Lightyear, and then I was like, oh no, this isn't who I am.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I had a moment like that not too long ago when in a group setting asked, what is your favorite place on campus?
Mhm.
And initially I wanted to say like, oh, the grotto, what a special place, which are things that I do think that, right?
Absolutely.
Then there's this voice in my head that was like, it's the dining hall. Stop lying. You know where you like to be.
That's awesome.
Okay, so what book would you recommend everyone read and why?
Yeah, Patrick Lencioni has a lot of really great books. Honestly, I haven't read one of his books that I've disliked. But the one that stands out to me is Five Dysfunctions of a Team.
I love that book.
Yeah. It's very accessible, and it was almost frustrating to read the beginning part and be like, I've been there on some teams, right? It's a business fable, I think is how he describes it. And so it's like a fictional story of this team that really does not work well together. But they manage to work through it. They make some changes to the team, but they like talk about why that happened. And yeah, it's a really great picture of what an ideal team looks like. And if you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, in the end, he kind of relates it back to that and says, these are the needs of a team, right? And you have to meet these basic things about like trusting each other and having some sort of accountability, right? To really reach those heights of success.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a good one.
Yeah.
To check it out.
It's time for Tech Tips and Tricks. At this point in the show, we'll highlight tips and tricks we learned from you, our listeners. We would love to hear your ideas. Simply email them to btspodcast@indy.edu. So Hank, you were talking to us about, we were talking earlier about this really complex interrelationship of Google Calendar and Google Sheets and Qualtrics and et cetera, et cetera. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about that experience and how you came to learn, to do all that.
Yeah. A lot of that stuff that I did on that project with the Business Honors Program and pulling in Google Calendar data into Google Sheets with Google Apps scripting, I've never done JavaScript before, but I know enough about programming in general that I was able to ask ChatGPT to write it for me.
Nice.
And then, just like tweaking it, a little bit of reading, like, okay, what library did you get that from? And yeah, that ChatGPT enabled a solution that we would not have had 2 years ago.
If you've got ideas about either of these topics or anything else, just email those ideas to btspodcast@nd.edu. And if there's anything else new, exciting, frustrating, or inspiring happening in your IT consultancy world, please share that with us too. We would love to hear your insights and ideas.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, thank you so much, Hank.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Really had a great time talking with you today.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Thanks. Next time, we'll speak with Chris Gillis, Director of the Service Desk. Until then, thank you for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
Signing off from behind the screens, IT at ND.
Stay tech savvy, Notre Dame. Awesome. Cool.
I've said fantastic so many times.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you're good.